Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing this wonderful afternoon, wherever you are locally or globally? I'd like to thank you for joining my Aisha Speaks Jade page, where I am none other than Aisha, also known affectionately as Jade, or some of you may call me Aisha. You know what I always say, as long as you keep that RESPECT, put that respect on it, it is definitely all good with me. So this afternoon, I am doing a makeup live audio for Wednesday, January the 16th, 2019. And what I'm going to be speaking on this afternoon is how Generation Z will transform the future workplace. Again, how Generation Z will transform the future workplace. Because we know at some point in time, a lot of us, or let me not say that, at some point in time, generation comes after generation, and so forth. So the generation that's coming up will definitely be taken over. Okay, they're already doing what they need to do and just so much up on being just really carefree, being very business savvy, making sure that they're in the know, learning all that they can learn. So sometimes some of us seasoned individuals need to have an open mind, okay, and learn from them. Actually, I feel like we can learn from each other. Take some of the old school, mix it with some of that new school, and I think that we will really do good. So before I really dive into the conversation, just a brief. So Generation Z, or Gen C, also known by a number of other names. So again, it's Generation Z, like the letter Z. Z is in zebra. Or Gen Z, again known by other names, is the demographic cohort after the millennials, which the millennials are Generation Y. There is no precise date when Generation Z begins, but demographers and researchers typically use the mid 1990s to mid 2000s as starting birth years. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of give you a quick what years individuals, like what this falls under. So it falls under typically mid 1990s to mid 2000s. And again, the millennials that come before them, I believe, they are Generation Y. So, just want to give you that brief for future reference. If you're really interested or curious what generations fall under what letter in the alphabet, you can certainly do further research on that. So I just want to give you what that's all about. So now I really want to dive into again, how Generation Z will transform the future workplace. So let's get into it. And also just letting you know that this replay will be available shortly after I'm done. All right. So Generation Z is disrupting recruiting, training, managing, and more in the year 2019 and beyond. Generation Z is entering the workplace. Because of their high-tech and hyper-connected upbringing, they will bring a new set of behaviors, expectations, and preferences into the workplace. So here are 7 changes that Generation Z employees will create. Starting with number 1, wider generational gap at work. So 77% of Generation Z say having a millennial manager is their preference over Generation X or baby boomers. This is an increase from 67% in 2017. And I'm just kind of guessing the reason why they want someone a little bit more closer to their age range is because a lot of times Generation X or baby boomers, which are the seasoned, elderly, more cougar people, maybe they may not have an open mind to new ideas or inventions or suggestions. A lot of times, let's just be honest, the older generations tend to kind of be stuck in what they like and what they do, and or they may not want to, upgrade or learn things that are new. They may not want to stay in the now. Like I went to a leadership class yesterday that was of all ages. So the older generation pretty much was talking about how they're really comfortable where they're at. They're not willing or they're fearful of learning new things or new technology. And the way that the world is moving, it's always staying fresh with fresh ideas and staying updated on new technology. So I'm just kind of thinking maybe that's why they want someone a little bit closer to their age range because they're more open-minded. So the workplace entrance of Generation Z will only increase the complexity of managing and working across generations, especially considering that more than 75% of workers identify managing multi-generational teams and different work expectations across generations as challenges. Organizations must prioritize generational training to ensure the generational gap at work doesn't continue to expand and result in poor communication, collaboration, engagement, and more. The next one would be increased desire for work-life harmony. So 28% of young employees are frequently or constantly feeling burnt out at work, a 7% increase over older generations. More specifically, 7 in 10 millennials experience at least some burnout at work. So I believe everyone experiences burnout at work. And I just believe that they're just looking for something. The millennials or Generation Z is just looking for another strategy to not let it be so burnt out or stressed. Like they're looking for fresh ideas. That's just my thought on it. But clearly anybody can have their own view. Helping Generation Z strike the appropriate harmony between work and life will be critical. In fact, burnt out employees are 63% more likely to call out sick and 3 times as likely to quit. I can tell you where I work at right now and as well as other places, but specifically speaking on mine, there's so many generations younger than me that they get burnt out real quick or they don't get stimulated mentally on things to do. They get bored like really quickly. And I also feel like a lot of times they're not heard as far as bringing fresh ideas and what they can bring to their company or their coworkers on, certain ways on how to be more productive and, not be overwhelmed. A lot of times the older crowd, they tend not to listen. It's almost kind of like I got mine, you get yours. How can you tell me how things can be run? I'm older. I've been at work longer than you have. Little things like that. And again, I think that if both age groups or both brains just kind of pull together and brainstorm, it can work out a little better. So, again, a lot of employees tend to call out sick. Others quit. So there are some practical ways to retain Generation Z using better work-life harmony. The next would be blend of high touch and high tech. More than 90% of Generation Z prefer to have a human element to their teams, either working solely with innovative coworkers or with coworkers and new technologies. Even though Generation Z is the first fully digital generation, they want human elements at work. In fact, 72% of Generation Z want to communicate face-to-face at work. And the top two most important factors for Generation Z at work are supportive leadership and positive relations at work. I said something similar to that. So again, important factors for the Generation Z are supportive leadership and positive relations at work. Also for Generation Z, technology is a must, but it's not enough. Serve up the technology they expect while delivering the human element they crave. Our next would be evolved approach to learning and development. 76% of Generation Z professionals feel that the skills necessary in today's workforce are different from the skills necessary in past generations. For the generation that is younger than Google, they approach problem solving and knowledge sharing much differently than previous generations. 43% of Generation Z learners prefer a fully self-directed and independent approach to learning. Micro-learning platforms like 21mil.com, check that out, 21, the number 2 and 1, then mill, mill.com. So that's 21mil.com are the ideal way to train Generation Z. So you can do some further research to see how effectively training the next generation for that. Next is video impact on recruitment and employer branding. Generation Z's top platform to learn more about a company is YouTube, followed by Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Twitter, and then Glassdoor. So if you don't have any of those, you might want to check them out on a personal or business or professional level. Generation Z's job search approach is a lot different from millennials, who prefer to use employment websites such as Indeed and Monster, followed by specific company employment websites. YouTube is a must for organizations wanting to build a strong employer brand in the eye of Generation Z talent. And as you see, all of the social medias are very, just a lot going on. But that YouTube got it going on. Next is more frequent feedback. 60% of Generation Z want multiple check-ins from their manager during the week. Of those, 40% want the interaction with their boss to be daily or several times each day. More frequent and better feedback can improve retention. 2/3 of Generation Z versus less than half of millennials say they need feedback from their supervisor at least every few weeks in order to stay at their job. So you kind of see the difference. Millennials, they want every few weeks, whereas Generation Z, they want multiple check-ins during the week. Feedback delivered to Generation Z should be prompt, or as close to the behavior as possible is ideal. Swift, which is one sentence or an emoji, will suffice. And tracked, using a service like 15.5 can help with this. So there's a service, another plugin, a service called 15, which is 1, 5, and then spelling out 5. So 15.5. Okay. And lastly, expanded importance of diversity and inclusion. 63% of Generation Z feel it is most important to work with people with diverse education and skill levels. Because who just wants to have a person that's just one-minded? It's boring and is uninterested. And they're not going to feel like being bothered. So if you're diverse, whether it's your education or you've just learned through life experience, like on the job, or just taking up different trainings and what have you, then at least you're diverse and they're attracted to that. An additional 20% think that having people of different cultures, either their origins or their ethnic background, is the most important element to a team. So not only does diversity and inclusion drive company performance and enhance innovation, but it is also instrumental in the recruitment and retention of next generation talent. 77% of Generation Z said that a company's level of diversity affects their decision to work there. And 69% of millennials employed at a diverse organization said they would stay with their employer beyond 5 years, compared with 27% not employed at a diverse organization. So, I mean, times are changing. Just you really have to get with the program. Even if you learn, just pick up one thing, or at least have an open mind to this new millennial and Generation Z, because they're going to be that next generation, as they really are getting themselves prepared now to be the upcoming. They're going to be our future to come. So let's not always just shut them out thinking that they don't know what's going on, because I'm telling you, I look at all ages, but I definitely look at the millennials and the generation after them. And they're all about staying in the know with technology and diversity, and just, they're very cultural, and it's true. So while I'm here breathing every day, I want to keep myself in the know. Okay. So thank you guys. Again, I spoke on Not in Order, which is expanded importance of diversity and inclusion, more frequent feedback, video impact on recruitment and employer branding, evolved approach to learning and development, blend of high tech and high touch, increased desire for work-life harmony, and wider generational gap at work. I thank you guys so much. And again, that was speaking on how Generation Z will transform the future workplace. Thank you again for listening to me, to my Makeup Live audio for Wednesday, January the 16th, 2019. I shall be back. Please, I invite you to like and join my platforms, which I am, of course, right now on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and I have a YouTube channel. You can find me under all of them. Aisha Speaks Jade. Again, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and my YouTube channel, which you can go to my YouTube and you can subscribe, hitting the thumbnail. You can hit the notification bell for all alerts. What else did I want to say? I just had a brainstorm. Okay, so be good to yourself. Self-care, self-love, self-respect. Be good to yourself. And I shall return. Ashe.